investing 24/7. Today we're going to talk about some of the cons of flipping. Flipping is a tremendous opportunity to make a lot of money in a short period of time. However, there are some cons to it and some things you really need to consider before you go down that road. The first, of course, being the upfront costs. Some might say the banks are releasing some of their bad assets, which are sewage, onto the market, but the fact is they offer tremendous opportunity for us investors. However, some of these properties, frankly, just don't cut it as investments, even though they're cheap, even though they can be made into beautiful homes. The fact is, when you go through these places, sometimes it's just too much work. So you need to look at your financial profile and think, are the upfront costs worth it? You need to do your comps. You need to look at all the sales in the area in the past year or so and say to yourself, when I'm done rehabbing this house, is it going to be able to sell at a level where I'm going to make money? If you don't do that homework and it turns out that this house isn't going to comp out on the end, you're going to be underwater like some of this sewage. Some other things you need to be concerned about when flipping a house are the fact that it is a speculative business. You are trying to look into the future and see, okay, what will this house sell for? And the fact of the matter is, most flips generally take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks to rehab. And in that 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the market can shift pretty dramatically. Not always. You do your homework, you can usually mitigate those risks. But sometimes you find yourself doing numbers up front, and 8 to 12 weeks later, those numbers have changed dramatically, and all of a sudden, you can't sell that house for what you thought you could. Something to keep in mind. Some other things to keep in mind is you don't want to get into a bidding war with a flip. Obviously, if a hot property comes on the market, investors are going to swarm to it. And whatever you do, don't get into a bidding war. In most markets, there are enough flips out there, enough inventory, that you don't have to get into a bidding war just to get a particular house. If you're in a bidding war, chances are you're going to lose. The other thing to keep in mind are rehab costs. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people get into a rehab that say, oh, this will be $10,000, $20,000. It ends up being $30,000 or $40,000. Or it's going to be $30,000 and it ends up being $40,000, $45,000. It is critical that you nail your rehab costs. If you've got contractors that end up throwing a ton of extras on, or if you haven't done your homework on what your construction costs are going to be, you're going to be underwater pretty quickly. I'd like also to speak directly to you do-it-yourselfers out there. Do-it-yourself rehab can work, but more often than not, I've seen it end up in disaster. The reason being is because a lot of guys say, well, I can save a little by painting myself, or I can save a little by doing the floors myself. The fact of the matter is, this is a rehab, and it needs to be a professional job. If a buyer comes in and it looks like Mr. Happy Homemaker or Mr. Weekend Warrior did it, that house is not going to sell. You need to hire professionals to do a competent job so your house looks like the showpiece of the neighborhood. Sure, you might save a little bit, but on the back end, you might end up paying a whole lot because your job or your house wasn't as nice as another one down the street where they brought in professionals to do the job and make it look like the gem of the neighborhood. Okay, so for more investment advice, I'd like you to follow us on Twitter, our Facebook page, or our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.